folks. Didn't see you there. What could this be? Oh, looks like we're going on a cabbage adventure today. So what even is a cabbage? Oh, it looks like our first steps to pathophysiology. Follow me, guys. Oh, look, looks like we made it to our first stop.
I'm pathophysiology. So what is a coronary artery bypass graft? It's a surgical procedure done to increase the blood flow to the heart. So what it mainly entails is that the surgeon makes an incision into the sternum and then places the patient on a cardiopulmonary bypass machine. The bypass machine is used to keep the blood flow circulating because in the traditional form of a cabbage, the surgeon has to temporarily stop the heart with electrical stimulation so that he can then attach the vascular grafts, which are typically taken from the saphenous vein, and he attaches that above and below the location of the blockage so that the blood flow can be returned to normal. What indicates a cabbage needs to be done? Well, an area of the heart has gone what we call ischemic, meaning that it has decreased blood flow and oxygenation. And that is typically due to a blockage in the artery. So how does an artery become blocked? It's done through this process that we call atherosclerosis. It first begins with a fatty streak built up in the artery, which then continues with a formation of a big mass of lipid cells or fat cells, which then, in this part of it, a thrombus or a blood clot gets added to it, and in each step the artery is becoming progressively narrower, and then in the last part it's become so occluded that we only have this little tiny portion for blood flow. And a cabbage has been proven to be reliable and safe for returning blood flow to the ischemic part of the heart, but as with any surgery, it does have its risks. So all conservative treatment options should be exhausted before the cabbage is considered.
Well, it looks like we have some tough terrain to get to prevalence and prognosis.
I'm prevalence and prognosis.
Let's talk prevalence. Coronary artery disease is the leading cause of mortality and morbidity worldwide. This is why the cabbage surgery is the most frequently performed surgery in the U.S. In 2012, the number of cabbage surgeries performed in the U.S. was 519,000. Out of those surgeries, 371,000 were on men and 148,000 were on women. The number of cabbage surgeries is estimated to be over 800,000 worldwide. The cabbage surgery has a good prognosis. The mortality rate during the actual surgery only ranges from 2.3 to 2.6%. The cabbage surgery results in a 5-year survival of over 85% and a 10-year survival around 70%. The surgery usually improves or completely relieves angina for as long as 10 to 15 years and may also reduce the risk of a heart attack. A 30-year follow-up study found the overall median life expectancy after the surgery to be 17.6 years. A majority of the patients, 94%, needed a repeat intervention.
Look how far we've come. It looks like our next stop is PT outcomes and interventions.
That's me! Over here! PT outcomes!
The average inpatient stay for a patient in the hospital after a cabbage surgery is about 4 days. The full recovery will take about 2 to 3 months, but the first 4 to 6 weeks are the most important. This is where our job as a physical therapist comes in. We have a very important role in getting the patient back up and out of bed and back to their daily activities. At first, we must advise them that what they're feeling is normal. It's okay to be a little sore after surgery, and that'll go away within a few days. But we want to make sure we are there to tell them what their sternal precautions are, how safely to get up and get moving again. So what interventions can we do as PTs to prevent deleterious effects and immobility after a surgery like this? First of all, we'll want to start with patient education. We will have to give them their sternal precautions, and they are shown right here. So no pushing up out of a seat, no carrying a heavy box, 5 to 10 pounds, and that also includes pushing and pulling because we don't want that pressure on the sternum. Reaching overhead, we can't go past 90 degrees in either plane, and we also don't want to be reaching behind the back. We will practice some bed mobility with them while also using these sternal precautions. We will do some sit to stand, again holding a pillow as to not push off a chair, and we will do some coughing techniques, again holding a pillow so they feel a little safer when coughing. The physical therapist can also help with some deep breathing techniques where we instruct the patient to do some diaphragmatic breathing instead of upper chest breathing in order to protect their incisions. We can do some marching in place with them to promote circulation and also some active range of motion. Throughout all these, we will want to monitor their vital signs and also their rate of perceived exertion in order to make sure they're doing okay. We will also have to do some wound care management in order to make sure their incisions are healing properly. We can do some outcome measures to assess their progress and performance, such as the 6-minute walk test and the 5 times sit to stand. We can also tell them that they can start resistance training within 8 weeks post-op, and we should put them on a walking program to increase their cardiovascular health. A post-op depression screening is also important because feelings of depression, anxiety, and denial are common after a major surgery like this. Up to 40% of people have depression after a Cabg surgery.
Medical management is extremely important for this population. This is a multidisciplinary approach, including PT, OT, and dietitians. We will all work together to help reduce the cardiac risk factors for these patients post-operatively. These risk factors include smoking cessation, controlling their blood pressure, controlling their cholesterol, making sure they exercise regularly, proper nutrition for them, and making sure that their overall stress is kept as low as possible. The medications that these patients will probably be sent home with include beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, aspirin, nitrates, and lipid-lowering therapy. It's important for these patients to get involved in a cardiac rehab program. This is a multifactorial approach, including aerobic exercise. It's important to note for this population that they need a proper warm-up and a proper cool-down in order to get their body adjusted to the cardiac workload.
Hey guys, looks like the adventure is coming to the end with the heart reversal program.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I was just eating some plant-based food. I'm Dr. Dean Ornish, and I'm going to teach you how to reverse your heart disease.
The Dr. Dean Ornish program for reversing heart disease. This is a program that's dear to my heart because my dad actually had this after his Cabg surgery. And it's a program for those who are heart patients and want to lower their risk and improve overall health through a change in lifestyle and nutrition. It's the only system scientifically proven to reverse heart disease without drugs or surgery. Heart disease can be halted or even reversed simply by changing your lifestyle by dealing with the root causes and not just its effects. Congress and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services in 2010 provided for Medicare reimbursement for individuals enrolled in this program. And this program consists of 4 core elements equally. These are the 4 things here. So it has to do with very low-fat whole food diet, moderate aerobic exercise, stress management techniques, and support groups. And the idea behind it is that when we begin to heal our lives, our hearts heal as well. Okay, so the Ornish diet. It's considered a flexitarian diet. It's a semi-vegetarian diet with a focus on plant-based foods and plant-based proteins, with only occasional meat, poultry, or fish consumption. He stresses that foods are neither good nor bad, but some are more helpful for you than others, predominantly fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, soy products, non-fat dairy, and egg whites in their natural forms, as well as some of the good fats that contain omega-3 fatty acids. So basically only 10% of the diet should come from fat. So in summary, this diet consists of eating mostly plant-based proteins, limit your bad carbs, and 4 grams a day of good fat. Okay, these studies demonstrated the following benefits of the lifestyle modification program. Regression of coronary artery stenosis using quantitative coronary angiogram, as shown here, before and after, and this was done through a PET scan. Reverses the progression of cardiovascular disease and reduces the need for future surgeries and costly medications for patients after Cabg surgery. The progression of coronary atherosclerosis could be stopped or reversed by making comprehensive lifestyle changes. 99% of patients stopped or reversed their heart disease as measured by cardiac PET scans after 5 years. In contrast, the control patients who are on medications and just cardiac rehab, 45% of these controls got worse and 50% showed no change, and 5% they improved. So also 2.5 times fewer cardiac events, and follow-up analyses revealed even more reversal after 5 years than after 1 year. And now here is a video of my dad, a member of this program.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Dr. Weeks and class of 2020.
Okay, so he's going to be telling us about this program that he was on. Can you tell me about your history?
Yes, I have. I've had a family history. We have a family history of heart disease, high cholesterol, and heart disease in the family. I found out about it when I was 19, and it finally caught up with me at 54, and I had to go in and have a quadruple bypass done, Cabg. It was done on February 21st, 2017, and was in the hospital for 3 days, and then I've been back home ever since.
Good, and how did you hear about the Ornish program?
When I was recovering in the hospital for the 3 days that I was there, nutritionists and stuff come in and talk to you about changing your diet and all of that after you've had a surgery like this. And the Ornish program was one of the options. That was option B. Option A was the typical exercise, maybe a little bit of talk about diet, and those were really the only choices. Watching my grandpa go through the typical heart rehab after his 2 open heart surgeries was, I wanted to try something different. And the Ornish program sounded like a challenge. It was hard at first. When I first heard about it, I was like, oh yeah, no way. I don't think I can do that. But once I got closer to doing it, then it was really fun. It was really educational. I learned a lot.
Yeah, and how are you doing now? Like, what were your results from the program?
Well, my numbers over the 9-week program had dropped 68 points. That's the liver panel that they do, when you're on cholesterol medicine. And in 9 weeks, it had dropped 68 points. I'm 18 months out. They did my blood work at about 12 months. And 12 months later, I was within a few numbers of where I was after completing the program a year later. So.
And are you on? How were your medications? You went from not being on a lot to.
I went from 19 medications down to 2.
Wow. And what is
2 medications, and then of course some vitamins and minerals. Oops, excuse me.
And what's been the hardest part of this program?
The hardest part for me is planning the meals. And in most cities, but I live in Asheville, so I'm very lucky I can get meals that are very closer to vegans, and you can change them a little bit to get a lot more of the oils out. But I would say planning the meals was my hardest, the hardest one that element of the 4 elements to overcome. I work a lot, long schedules and late nights, and I don't really ever cook for myself. So I'm left to changing some vegan meals to get them closer to the Ornish program.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you, Dad.
You're welcome, honey.
X marks the spot.
Hope you learned lots!
Thanks for joining me on my Cabg adventure. See you next time.
Blood flow from the toes up. God, I can't.
In 71,
Shoot. You're flutter. What am I saying?
Heart so that he can do his work.
and cool down activity.
Yes!
And we're gonna continue on.
So let me take a close.
So this is the evolution of man? We're evolving into pigs.
What does it
Oh, hello, folks. Didn't see you there. What is this? I gotta restart it.